Okay, so we shall have now our preliminaries. May we request everyone to please rise for the invocation.
Recording in progress.
Dear God, thank you for the opportunity to meet together. Please help us to come together to make this institution reflect your kingdom. Breathe life into our ideas
With
and
life into ideas and
help
decisions,
us build a
help us
team
build a team that is love and respect at its heart. Give us the strength to continue working for your kingdom in this time of pandemic.
Lord,
Lord,
give
come
us
give us inspiration
the
to be the
best.
best we can be.
May we
Be a shining example of your goodness
goodness and truth
within
wherever
wherever we are.
inspire
Inspire our thoughts,
discussions,
discussions, and ideas, and continue to remind us
that
all that we do today, all that we accomplish is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you.
We
We
ask
ask these things in your name. Amen. Thank you. You may now all be seated.
Okay. Okay, so before we start, we will acknowledge the presence of our DOST special guests and honored speakers. So we acknowledge the presence of Professor Fortunato T. de la Peña, the Secretary of the Department of Science and Technology. We also acknowledge the presence of Dr. Renato U. Sulidum Jr., the Undersecretary for Science and Technology Services of the Department of Science and Technology. We also acknowledge the presence of Dr. Vicente B. Malano, the Administrator of the DOST-PAGASA.
May we also acknowledge the presence of PAGASA Deputy Administrator for Research and Development, Dr. Esperanza O. Kayanan. May we also acknowledge the presence of Dr. Nathaniel P. Servando, Deputy Administrator for Administration and Engineering Services.
We also welcome and acknowledge Deputy Director Teresito C. Baculcol of the DOST PBOX. We also acknowledge the presence of Undersecretary Nestor F. Pinsay, who is now with us via Zoom. We also welcome and acknowledge the presence of Dr. Maria Maylene Villegas, the Chief of the Geologic Disaster Awareness and Preparedness Division of the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, PBOS. We also welcome the presence of Mr. Norley B. Villar, the Chief of the Communication Resources and Production Division of the Science and Technology Information Institute, who may be with us through Zoom, and also Director Richard P. Burgos, of the Science and Technology Information Institute of the DOST. Okay, so thank you very much for your presence, and welcome again to the press conference on PFAW with press launch on Project Maganda training sessions rollout. With the team from forecast to action towards a typhoon and flood resilient community. Thank you very much.
So at this point, may we hear a message from our Honorable Secretary of the Department of Science and Technology, Professor Fortunato T. de la Peña.
Warmest greetings to everyone, to our friends in the media in particular, and to all our guests. But I would also like to give special greetings to my colleagues at the OST, Undersecretary Renato Solido, who is in charge of Scientific and Technical Services. And of course, we have the Undersecretary for Public Safety of the Department of Interior and Local Governments, Yusek Nestor Kinsay Jr., and in PAGASA, we have Administrator Vicente Malano, together with two Deputy Administrators with me, Dr. SP and Dr. Nat Servando, Dr. SP Kayanan. And I would also like to greet the other officials of DILG, particularly in the person of Director Edgar Alan Tabel, and on the part of DOST, Philippine Council for Industry, Energy and Emerging Technologies R&D, Dr. Enrico Paringit, and to all representatives of key agencies and organizations, including PBOTS. We have here Deputy Director Bacolcol, and the Science and Technology Information Institute, and of course, PAGASA, PSHARE, DILG, the Philippine Information Agency, the Office of Civil Defense, and the Local Government Academy. Participants from various media who are attending physically and virtually, isang maalab na at mapagpalang umaga na bati ko sa ating lahat. The third week of June is observed every year as the Typhoon and Flood Awareness Week in the Philippines. This is by virtue of a Presidential Proclamation number 1535 series of 2008, signed by then President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. And the theme for this year's celebration is From Forecast to Action Towards a Typhoon and Flood Resilient Community. It highlights PAGASA's mandate in providing advanced information against hydrometeorological hazards and utilize scientific knowledge as tools to ensure the safety, protection, well-being, and resiliency of our people and of the whole nation. Republic Act 10121, also known as the Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Law of 2010, or to be more specific, the Act is strengthening the Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management System, provides for the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Framework, and it institutionalizes the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Plan, appropriating resources, therefore, and for other purposes. It is the legal basis that sets an improved context towards addressing the perennial and ever-pressing problem of managing risk caused by natural hazards in our country. The Department of Science and Technology is at the forefront of this framework, together with the Secretary of National Defense as the chairperson of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council. Yours truly, the Secretary of DOST, leads as the Vice Chair for Disaster Prevention and Mitigation, which is one of the four thematic pillars of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Plan. Under the Department of Science and Technology are attached warning agencies such as PAGASA and the Philippine Institute for Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS. The DOST, with its attached agencies and instrumentalities, serve an indispensable role in the fight of the country against these natural disasters. DOST agencies like PAGASA and PHIVOLCS serve as the frontline DRRM agencies for early warning. Others contribute to the capacity building efforts for improved resiliency, especially at the local or LGU level. Our technological advancements and innovations developed through R&D by our local scientists and in other occasions jointly developed with our counterparts abroad not only cover disaster prevention and mitigation, but it also cut across other thematic areas of disaster risk reduction and management. Indeed, DOST has come a long way in making our country more resilient than ever. We have so many activities in line for this year's Typhoon Awareness Week 2022, which will be presented by PAGASA later in our media conference. Also to be featured in today's conference is Project Maganda, or the Meteorological and Geological Hazards Advisories, Warnings, and Notifications for Decisive Action. Kailangan memoryahin natin yan. Maghanda. Meteorological and Geological Hazards Advisories, Warnings, and Notifications for Decisive Action. This aims to level up awareness and capabilities of our DRR actors at the local level in understanding warning messages from our frontline agencies, PAGASA and PBOC, and to translate those information into better response action among our stakeholders. Okay, so halimbawa at the barangay level, no, at the municipality level. It is one of the recognizable milestones of DOST and can also perhaps be considered as a legacy of the present administration. At this point, I would also like to take the opportunity to give my gratitude and appreciation to the Department of Interior and local government as a partner on this project. As we all know, DILG also acts as the Vice Chair for Disaster Preparedness in the National DRRM Council. While we take care at the DOST of disaster prevention and mitigation, DILG takes care of disaster preparedness. So a special thanks to other partners like LGA, OCD, PIA, KBP, among many others. From our accounts of experiences with natural disasters, we perennially deal on how to recover from the destruction that comes in their wake. We have witnessed the wrath of tropical cyclones and other extreme weather systems and the hydrometeorological hazards that go with it. We have seen countless lives claimed, homes and properties destroyed, and our hopes extinguished. But throughout our history, we have been greeted with unfortunate use of these catastrophes time and again, but we always manage to recover. I hope everyone that our celebrations of the typhoon and flood awareness this year will once again redeem our hopes towards a better future. Allow me also to congratulate PAGASA. This is a way of winding up my 6 years as DOST Secretary. I would like to say that I have been impressed with the performance of PAGASA during the last 6 years in terms of carrying out their mandates. This would be including the implementation of the modernization, PAGASA Modernization Act, which has resulted in a very significant improvement in terms of our facilities, our equipment to carry out better forecast. And in fact, we have been, shall we say, considered by the World Meteorological Organization as one of the weather agencies that has performed better in terms of forecast error compared to others. And we are definitely having a much less forecast error than what is the standard at WMO. I would also like to commend PAGASA for the significant efforts in building skills and manpower among its skills and expertise among its human resources. I would like to particularly mention that a much bigger number of our staff have gone to take up their advanced degrees, masters and PhD, not only here but also abroad. And we even have taken the responsibility of giving training not only to our own weather forecasters but also to others coming from neighboring countries. So I would like to congratulate PAGASA for this and thank them for the performance and the dedicated service that they have carried out during the 6 years that I have served as a secretary. So, nagpapasalamat ako sa PAGASA at siyempre gusto ko din pasalamatan ang ating partners sa DILG, sa media at sa iba pang ahensya. But special mention to media who are always here, okay? And I have observed that whenever there are typhoons right in our country, when I visit PAGASA, I always see the media friends there really monitoring the development. So maraming salamat sa inyong lahat.
Thank you very much, Honorable Secretary Professor Fortunato T. Hilapena, for that very informative welcome message. You gave us the historical, rational, and legal basis of this TFAW 2022. We are also thankful for your support and thank you very much for the job well done. And without much ado, we also want to hear from our guest, an honorable speaker, or honorable speaker, Undersecretary Renato U. Silugum Jr., the Undersecretary for Science and Technology Services of the Department of Science and Technology. Good morning, sir.
Thank you. DOST Secretary Fortunato T. de la Peña, DILG Undersecretary for Public Safety, USEC Nestor F. Kinsay Jr., DOST-PAGASA Administrator Dr. Vicente D. Malano, representatives and officials from key agencies and organizations, including DILG, Local Government Academy, PIA, Office of Civil Defense, DOST-P Shared, STII, FIVOX, and PAGASA. Participants from various media organizations attending physically and virtually, a pleasant morning to all. As mentioned, every third week of June, by virtue of the Presidential Proclamation number 1535 in 2008, we are celebrating the Typhoon and Flood Awareness Week. The schedule, I would say, is timely, as it usually coincides with the onset of the rainy season, characterized by inclement weather conditions with lots of rainfall and increased frequency of tropical cyclones that visit the Philippine area of responsibility. And today we are in the 40th year since the proclamation, and we are celebrating it with a theme, from forecast to action, towards a typhoon and flood resilient community. We are giving emphasis on the importance of early warning and early action in strengthening disaster prevention and preparedness to ensure the safety of our people. Please note that we combine science, technology, and innovation and community preparedness in ensuring that we are a resilient country. Hence, the reason why we are always partnering with the Department of Internal Local Government, the Civil Defense, the media, and many other organizations. Today, Ms. Shirley David, with the Chief of the Research and Development and Training Division of DOST-PAGASA, will discuss the various informative and interesting activities lined up for the week. The DOST, together with its Scientific and Technical Service Institutes, DOST-PAGASA, DOST-FIVOX, and DOST-STII, and its Monitoring Council, DOST-P Shared, with its partner agencies, DILG, LGA, OCD, PIA, KBP, among others, are all proud to announce the rollout of the training sessions for various stakeholders of Project Maganda, or the meteorological and geologic hazards advisories, warnings, and notifications for decisive action. We have been preparing for this rollout through the development of information materials and various curricula, which will be accessed online by various stakeholders. and which will be updated regularly every time there will be changes from the different warning and preparedness actions to be done from different stakeholders. Hence, Mr. Bernard Ponzalan of the Public Information Unit, Climatology and Agrimeteorology Research and Development Section of DOST-PAGASA will present this to you more in detail about the rollout later this morning. By the way, we coincidentally commemorated the 31st anniversary of Mount Pinatubo, which erupted in 1991, last Wednesday, June 15, and with the ongoing unrest of Bulusan Volcano in Sorsogon, this would remind us about the ever-present dangers posed by natural hazards that lurk in our country and continues to threaten our well-being and progress. And we hope that this celebration of the Typhoon and Flood Awareness Week this year and the rollout of Project Maganda training sessions, we will increase our capacities in different perspectives and take part in our community's continuing efforts towards disaster readiness to ensure the overall safety and well-being of everyone. Iba na po ang may alam. Kapag may alam, may tamang kahandaan. So may you all have a successful day and week ahead, and thank you very much, and please stay safe, everyone.
Thank you very much, Dr. Renato Yusilidum, for giving us the idea on why we need Typhoon and Flood Awareness Week. Indeed, knowledge is power when it comes to disaster avoidance. So, to cap the welcoming message, we also welcome Undersecretary Nestor F. Kinsay Jr., the Undersecretary for Public Safety of the Department of Interior and Local Government. Good morning, sir. Okay, so let's hear the welcoming message of Undersecretary Nestor F. Kinsay Jr., the Undersecretary for Public Safety of the DILG. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ayaw ko pasukin siguro. Anyway, good morning to everyone. To the DOST Secretary, Professor Fortunato D. De La Peña, sir. USEC Renato Solidum, my always partner during conferences. Good morning, sir. DOST-PAGASA Administrator, Dr. Vicente Malano. Fellow public servants, friends from the media, everyone, good morning. It is my honor to join you this morning for the press conference on Typhoon and Flood Awareness Week, KUM press launch on Project Maganda. This event is very timely, considering that 10 days from now, new sets of newly elected local government officials will assume their office together with the rest of the national elected officials on June 30. At the same time, the rainy season has come early this year, and for many flood-prone areas around the country, this means we need to ramp up our preparations to mitigate the impacts of disasters in many communities. Today, we officially start the 12 months of another close partnership between DILG and DOST on Project Maganda. The MOA between DILG and the DOST on Project Maganda has been signed last March, so we are now moving forward to the actual implementation of this project. With this partnership, we are looking forward to training about 8,000 newly elected local government units, local government officials, and local disaster risk reduction management officers, or DRRMO, on the latest hazard and information systems with the corresponding warning messages, most especially the first-timers. This will also serve as a re-education for the re-electionists and last-termers on how they can better prepare their LGUs in case of disasters like typhoon, flood, storm surge, earthquake, tsunami, or volcanic eruption. Part of the 12-month program will be the training for the local information officers and disaster first responders from the Philippine National Police, the Bureau of Fire Protection, Armed Forces of the Philippines, and the Philippine Coast Guard. As we all know, the PNP, BFP, PNP, AFP, DPWH, PDRMO, PSWDO, and DRRMOs, and barangay officials, workers of Sorsogon, had worked hand in hand immediately after the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology raised Alert Level 1 over the phreatic explosion of Bulusan volcano. Volcanic eruptions like this one and many others will be better mitigated when the stakeholders and the people are well informed on what to do before, during, and after disasters. This is what Project Maganda is all about. We are happy to announce that through this project, the participants will be trained on tropical cyclone wind signals, rainfall warning systems, gale warming, lightning detection alert system, flood warning systems, storm surge warning systems, introduction to Philippine Seismic Network, earthquake information, tsunami detection, and warning systems, landslides and volcano monitoring system. They will also be trained on how to use the tools like the new DOST-PAGASA website, Fault Finder and Hazard Hunter as their handy guide in case of disasters. Even though DILG Secretary Anyo, myself, and the rest of the appointed DILG top officials will no longer be here to see this project through. We will be leaving you with assurance that the department will continue to closely supervise our LGUs and ensure the success of this project. Part also of our commitment to Project Maganda is to ensure that LGUs will update their DRRM plans along with their multi-hazard contingency plans, utilizing the information, products, tools, and services to be provided by PAGASA and PhilBox. On behalf of Secretary Anyo, the DILG vowed to extend our full support to DOST on this project by working closely with the PAGASA, monitoring its gains, and providing the appropriate policies to enable our LGUs to continue to improve their programs, projects, and activities on disaster prevention, mitigation, and preparedness. Initial preparations are already ongoing with our training arm, the Local Government Academy, and the Central Office Disaster Information Coordinating Center, or the CODICS, to incorporate the gains of Project Maganda into Operation Listo Disaster Preparedness Program to ensure its sustainability and continuous improvement. To our media friends present this morning, I urge you all to help us amplify the government's message of disaster preparedness to our people. May you continue to disseminate the DILG and DOH and DOST initiatives through the mass and social media, so more and more people will also learn and appreciate the government initiatives and be disaster ready. In the Netflix drama series Stranger Things. The major protagonist, Max Mayfield, said, preparation through education is less costly than learning through tragedy. Mayfield is just a fictional character though, but his words aptly describes the essence of Project Maganda. You see, this project will cost the government 27 million to implement across 17 regions over the next 12 months. But I am pretty sure this amount will be way lower than the damages that will be potentially incurred to the lives, infrastructure, agriculture, and other industries when we are better prepared in case of disasters. For a country like the Philippines, who ranks third in disaster-prone countries, the only way for us to mitigate the costly impact of disaster is to educate our stakeholders and our people so we can all live, work, and do business safely and happily. Thank you. Magandang umaga sa ating lahat and mabuhay po tayong lahat. Thank you po.
Thank you very much. We are grateful for the warm welcome message from our honored guest, Undersecretary Nestor Kinsay Jr., for giving us the rationale why the DILG and DOST are in partnership to bring relief and preventive assistance to our countrymen. Indeed, we pray for more cooperation, support, and productive partnerships with DILG in the near future. Thank you very much.
So moving on, may we also hear a message from Dr. Vicente Bimalano, Administrator of DOST-PAGASA. Sir?
Sa ating pinakamamahal na Secretary, Professor Fortunato T. de la Peña, ever supportive DOST Undersecretary for Scientific and Technical Services and OIC of DOST PBOX, Dr. Renato Solidum Jr., Department of the Interior and Local Government Undersecretary for Public Safety and Public Safety Nestor F. Kinsay, sa ating mga Deputy Administrators sa PAGASA, Dr. Kayanan and Dr. Servando for R&D and Administration and Engineering Services respectively. DOST PBOX Deputy Director Dr. Teresito Bacolcol or Toto Bacolcol. DILG representative from Local Government Academy, Director Alan Tabel of the DOLG Central Office Disaster Information Coordinating Center, Dr. Maylin Villegas of the DOST PBOX, Chief of Geologic Disaster Awareness and Preparedness Division, other officials and staff from the DOST PBOX, DOST STII, Project Maganda, colleagues and media partners joining us virtually. Good morning. And also to Director Burgos and Executive Director of PSERD, Dr. Eric Paringit. Magandang umaga sa lahat at nandito tayo sa ating taunang ginagawa itong Typhoon and Flood Awareness Week or TIFAW. It is a presidential proclamation by the former President GMA in 2008. Ako po'y nagpapasalamat dahil sa ganitong pagkakataon na nakikita po natin dahil sa ating pagsama-sama ay tulong-tulong po tayo tungo sa ating hinahangad na mitigate ng negative impacts ng ating mga hazards. Ang Pilipinas po ay nakikita po natin ay located sa sinasabing geographic and geotectonic environment. At taon-taon po tayo ay nakakaranas ng iba-ibang mga sakuna, meteorological and hydrogeological hazards. Hindi lang po, pero magpapasalamat po tayo sa ating Panginoon dahil hindi lang naman yun ang dinudulot sa atin dahil kung nasaan tayo. Nung minsan ay nagkasama kami ni Dr. Solidum, ang dahilan din pala nung maganda nating lugar ay dahil sa produkto ng lindol. Kamukha nung sa Chocolate Hills. Ito ay produkto ng lindol na sa tagal ng panahon ay nagkaroon ng ganitong form. Hindi lang yan at nandito nakikita po natin mga formations dito sa Bicol region. So hindi negative lahat dahil nandun tayo sa hindi magandang lugar, kundi mayroon din mga magagandang mga epekto doon sa paglalagay natin sa geotectonic environment. Ang Pag-asa PBOX po ay dalawa pong warning agencies na nag-develop ng forecast, detect risk, and provide accurate and timely warnings on a national scale for hydrometeorological and geological risk. Yung dalawang agencies po ay both authorities recognize the need to communicate their data information effectively and in an easy to understand format to the public in order to generate or implement appropriate response in the event of natural hazards and disasters. Kaya po nandito po tayo dahil ating pong i-roll out yung ating project, yung Project Maganda. Na sinasabi ni Secretary kanina, ano nga ba yung ibig sabihin ng Project Maganda? At ito po sinasabi, ang Maganda po ay it stands for Meteorological and Geological Hazards Advisories, Warnings and Notification for Decisive Action. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng Maganda. Noong 2014 po, ang Pag-asa PBOX Dream LiDAR Program and Project NOAA, nag-launch po ng project na ang tinatawag ay Iba na ang Panahon, Science for Safer Communities or INAP S4SC program to provide science-based knowledge on hydrometeorological and geological hazards to local government officials, DRRMOs, and media. So 5 years later, in 2019, ito po yung na-conceptualize po natin itong Project Maganda. With improvements in monitoring and warning systems, tools, and services from both agencies and the impact of climate change. A need to upgrade the understanding and knowledge of our local government partners and media, as well as first responders, has been identified. Due to INAP's success in 2019, upon the suggestions of or USEC for STS, Dr. Renato Solidum, the Pag-asa PBOX and STII discussed the need to make another activity, but this time focus on the clear understanding warning messages. Dahil po, mayroon po tayo mga information pero hindi naintindihan ng mga would-be affected areas or mga recipient ng ating mga information. Kaya po nagkakaroon po tayo ng itong project natin, Project Maganda. So, the Project Maganda's journey has started. This initiative will address the need to re-educate the local government units, specifically local officials and disaster managers, and the media on the latest hazard information systems with corresponding warning messages through lectures and workshops. The project was originally scheduled to begin in 2020 but was postponed due to COVID-19 pandemic. May mga adjustments po tayong ginagawa in the modality of the workshops necessary to account for the limits for face-to-face activities. So, nililimitahan natin yung face-to-face activities. The project shifted to online platform, Zoom for simultaneous synchronous learning sessions, workshops, and plenary sessions, while Canvas will be used as a repository of the learning sessions and to facilitate asynchronous learning modality. So, mayroong mga mga adjustments po gagawin po tayo. In order, kamukha po nitong ginagawa natin ngayon, in order to accomplish the project's objectives, the Department of Science and Technology, PAGASA, as the lead agency, and PBOX and STII as co-implementers, collaborated and joined once again with the DILG and LGA, local government academy, for a disaster-ready Philippines. The project's general objective is to provide clearer understanding of warning messages to have better response action among LGUs and media. The signing of the Memorandum of Agreement between the DOST and the DILG last March 16, 2022 marked the beginning of another partnership towards achieving our common goal of disaster-prepared communities and empowered local government units that can do appropriate actions in time of hazards and disasters. Itong sa panahong ito, we would like to formally launch the project and its rollout to realize the project objectives. Dahil po, sabi nga ni Yusek Pinsay kanina, ay may bago na pong sets of officers, lalong-lalo po siguro do sa DILG, sa mga higher officials. Para po mabigyan po natin ng kaukulang serbisyo, atin pong ipapakilala kung ano po yung ating Project Maganda. Tamang kaalaman tungo sa tamang kahandaan, dapat po tayo maghanda tayo para sa ligtas na Pilipinas. Muli po, maraming salamat at magandang umaga po sa lahat.
Thank you very much, Dr. Malano, for giving us an encouraging opening remarks. Indeed, there are several silver linings from every storm and tectonic incidents. There is a need for intensive information dissemination to hammer down the need for disaster preparedness in our countrymen's psyche. Partner, so we are now officially rolling up.
Thank you, sir. And at this point, may we also acknowledge the presence of some of our PAGASA division chiefs who are physically present today. Okay, Ms. Shirley J. David, the Chief of the Research and Development and Training Division. Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Rosalina G. de Guzman, the Officer in Charge of Climatology and Agrometeorology Division. Welcome po. And we also have here Dr. Bonifacio G. Pajuelas, the Weather Services Chief of the NCR PRSD. And we also have Mr. Juanito S. Galang, the Officer in Charge of the Weather Division. And so moving on, to share with us the various Typhoon and Flood Awareness Week 2022 activities, may we call on Ms. Shirley J. David, the Chief of the Research and Development and Training Division.
Professor Fortunato P. de la Peña, Secretary of the Department of Science and Technology, my dear PAGASA Administrator, Dr. Vicente Malano, Ma'am Esperanza Cayanan, Deputy Administrator for Research and Development, Dr. Nathaniel T. Servando, Deputy Administrator for Administrative and Engineering Services, sa kapwa ko po, miyembro ng PAGASA Executive Staff, PAGASA colleagues, media partners and friends, here are partners, at sa mga nandito, sa lahat po na nandito, magandang umaga po sa lahat. Ngayon po naman ay ibibigay ko ang iba't ibang programa at aktibidad na inihanda po ng PAGASA para po i-highlight ang ating selebrasyon o observance ng Typhoon and Flood Awareness Week. Una po sa lahat ay itong press conference na ito kung launching po ng ating Maganda project. On June 21 naman po, 2022, we will have a webinar on maagang aksyon at akmang gawin ayon sa panahon for science teachers and school disaster reduction coordinators in Regions 6, 7, 8, and NCR. At lahat po ng interesadong participant ay can register on the at https://bit.ly/tpow2022. Ang alam ko po, ipapamahagi po ito ng ating mga organizers. So sa June 24 naman po, 2022, we will have an IEC for DRRMOs of the province of Rizal in Antipolo City. On the 25th of June, a flood drill will be conducted in Barangay Santa Ana, San Mateo, Rizal. And lastly po, to culminate the PFAS observance, we will have a media seminar workshop for NCR and Guimaropa on July 8 to 10, 2022. Yun lang po at maraming salamat po at magandang umaga po muli sa lahat.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shirley J. David, the Chief of the Research and Development and Training Division, for giving us the list of activities for this Typhoon and Flood Awareness Week. And so, at this point, may we call Mr. Bernard R. Punsalan II to tell us more about the project #Maganda Training Session Rollout. He is the International Relations Officer 3 of the Public Information Unit of the Research and Development and Training Division. Sir Bernard?
Okay po, so magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. And I wish to present to you yung project Maganda sa Training Sessions Rollout po. Ito na po yung ating pinakahihintay na implementation ng project after preparations nitong mga nakaraang buwan. So next please. So the presentation will go as follows. We begin with the background of the project and then followed by some objectives, and then later on yung ating deliverables as yung ating training schedules po. Next please. So nabanggit na po ito kanina ni Doc Vic, no? Ating administrator ng PAGASA. Yung predecessor ng ating Maganda ay yung iba ng panahon, Science for Safer Communities or INAP-S for SC noong 2014. And ngayon po na Project Maganda ay we will focus on the updated hazard information and corresponding warning messages versus the hazard information na nabigyang diin noong panahon ng INAP-S for SC noong 2014. So next please. So ito yung isa sa mga difficulties natin as the warning agency of DOST, particularly dito sa PAGASA and of course sa PHIVOLCS, most of the time yung ating products and services ay hindi masyadong shall we say na-appreciate ng ating end users because of some technical jargons that we are making use, which is inevitably yun yung nagagamit natin every time we give information to the public. That's why we want to bridge the gap, so to speak, in order for us to effectively reach yung ating end users. So next, please. So time-sensitive and science-based information is key. That's why information should be easy to access and or understood by many. Next, please. So ito po, if you will allow me some illustration here. The one on the left side is the warning agencies, particularly sa DOST, sa PHIVOLCS and PAGASA, and then partly siguro MGB na rin, from the DANR. So they are the warning agencies when it comes to meteorological and geologic hazards. And then on the right side is our general public and our local actors. So communication must be a two-way process. That's why, next please. Tinatap natin yung partnership natin with key agencies, government agencies, particularly DOST-STII, DILG, DILG-LGA, OCD, and PIA para doon sa science communication na tinatawag. And then, of course, down to the local level and our actors, key stakeholders, we have the KBP, the media, among others. So, isa sa mahalagang impormasyon din na dapat nakakarating ng tama sa ating publiko yung tamang impormasyon sa pamamagitan ng mga balita. Kaya we are also tapping the expertise and help here of our media partners for us to have this appropriate response action among our DRR actors. Next, please. So ito po yung ating working slogan, Maghanda para sa ligtas na Pilipinas. Ayan. Next, please.
So ang ating project leader, yung ating administrator, si Dr. Vic Malano of DOST-PAGASA. And then our institutional partners are DOST-PBOX, DOST-STII, and DOST-PSHERD as our monitoring agency. We are also partnering with DILG and LGA, Local Government Academy, for the training sessions rollout. And then we have a funding of about 27+ million. Almost 26 million comes from the DOST-GIA funding, while about 1.5 million comes from PAGASA. And the program duration, we started last year, July of 2021, and it's expected to end by July of this year. But considering the newly elected officials, as mentioned by DILG Undersecretary Kinsay kanina po, no? So, minarapat po natin i-extend ang ating project para mapakinabangan po ng gusto. And we are able to secure an extension of up to the end of this year, no? December 31. Next, please. So the project objectives are as follows. We aim to provide clear understanding and warning messages on natural hazards to have a better response action among LGUs and media. And of course, we have specific objectives, namely to develop the skills of our LGUs, DRMOs, the Municipal Local Government Operations Officers, or the MLGOs, and first responders or uniformed personnel in understanding warning messages and planning for response action. Next, please. Also, we aim to develop the skills of our local information officers and media in understanding warning messages and developing news reports and articles. Kasi masasabi po natin na talagang magkatuwang ito, no? Itong LGUs natin and yung media, no, sa tamang pagpapakalat ng informasyon. Every time meron po tayong mga binabantayang hazards or threats, ano po. So laging sabay silang kumikilos, kaya we are also tapping our information officers and media para po dito sa ating project. And then we also aim to develop policy recommendations for the DILG and LGUs to use as their basis for updating their respective DRM plan. Next, please. So we aim to service around no less than 7,000 participants. This is already increased to about 9,000 considering na merong attendance ng ating uniformed personnel. And we have a partnership with DILG, or Department of Interior and Local Government. Okay, and among other agencies, no, and institutions like the PIA and OCD, among many others. And then we also have to consider in gender sensitivity policy recommendations, ensuring the utilization of DOST-PAGASA and DOST-PBOX information, products, tools, and services. Next, please. So the target participants are as follows. We have the governors, mayors, the provincial DRMOs, and the city municipal DRMOs, city and municipal information officers, and the municipal or city local government operations officers. And then we also have the first responders, and last but not least, of course, is the media. For the governors, we have one dedicated session. No? It's about half a day. And for the mayors, we have 3 sessions on half day per session po ang ating gagawin. We are grouping mayors coming from Luzon as one for one dedicated session, and another one for the mayors in the Visayas region, and then last is from the Mindanao area. So for the PDRMOs, city and municipal DRMOs, and city municipal information officers, and the MLGOs, we have 17 sessions all throughout the country, no, representing each of the regions we have, from regions 1, 2, 3 hanggang 13 po, including regions 4A and 4B. And then we also have CAR, or the Cordillera Administrative Region. We have the NCR, National Capital Region, and of course, yung Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. All 17 regions for 17 sessions, ano? Bali tag-iisa po sila ng sessions in a 2 weeks asynchronous and a day and a half synchronous session. So when we talk about synchronous, ito po yung meron tayong online engagement. While for the asynchronous, we have a learning management system for them na repository ng ating mga reference materials na kaakibat ng ating training. So, hinahayaan po muna natin silang i-access itong asynchronous o yung ating LMS through an asynchronous session 2 weeks prior dun sa ating synchronous session. And then we also have the media, no? 7 sessions for all of them. 2 for Luzon, another 2 for Visayas, and another 2 for Mindanao, and 1 dedicated session for the NCR media. All in all, we have 7 sessions for all of the media nationwide. Next, please. So, talking about deliverables, as I mentioned earlier, we have a learning management system up and running for the seminar workshop. And then we also have designed 26 topics for IEC materials on different hydrometeorological and geological information coming from our warning science agencies, particularly sa PAGASA and PBOX, in the form of brochures, posters, and updated broadcasters manual po, in cooperation with the Office of Civil Defense and the PIA and KBP. We also have the 1 audiovisual presentation for the project video and for public service announcements, with 2 of them for the hydrometeorological and another 2 for geological hazards information. And then we also have updated DRM contingency plan in the context of the new normal. And then we have a 28 activity report, a part of our documentation and proceedings per region as we roll out the training sessions of Project Maganda. Next, please. So these are the deliverables coming from each of the agencies we have under the DOST. For PAGASA, we have contributed this 7 deliverables for the learning management system. So hindi ko na po isa-isahin to save time. You also have the IEC materials here on the left side, and then video lectures, which consist of ENSO, or the El Nino Southern Oscillation, impact-based forecasting, tropical cyclone warning system, or yung ating wind signals, alongside gale warning. We also have video lectures for thunderstorm, flood, storm surge, and our PAGASA website. For the PBOX, meron po silang sa brochure yung ashfall preparedness, earthquake preparedness, earthquake community preparedness, tsunami, and poster po na earthquake preparedness. And sa video lectures naman po ay nakapag-produce po tayo with the help of PBOX ng volcano, earthquake, and tsunami na mga video materials and references. While for the DOST-STII, ito po yung lineup ng kanilang mga ambag din po pagdating sa ating Maganda project. And mostly they are in charge of the pre and post test tool and the monitoring and evaluation tool. Yun po yung mga evaluations natin, and review of all the IEC materials as part of yung science communication enhancement coming from their part. Yan. Tsaka yung mga reviews po ng ating iba pang mga materials. Okay, next please. So ito po yung ginawa nating MOA signing activity as mentioned earlier by Administrator Vic Malano. Ginawa po natin to noong March 16 sa said hotel. It was attended by our dear Undersecretary Rene Solidum, representing DOST, and on the side naman ng DILG is Undersecretary Martin Dino. So ito po yung mark ng ating ng start ng ating Project Maganda through a MOA with DILG and DOST. So kung niyo pong mapapansin, wala si Secretary Anyo, tsaka si Secretary Boy, kasi po si Secretary Anyo ay nagkaroon ng emergency meeting noong araw na ito. And si Secretary Boy ay hindi rin po kumbaga naging masama po yata yung pakiramdam ng time na. Kaya they were represented by the USEX na. Ayan. So ito po yung sample ng ating mga nagawang brochures from PAGASA na po. We have the tropical cyclone, thunderstorm, gale, heavy rainfall, and then La Nina guide. This is just a partial list ng ating mga nagawang brochures. This is a work in progress na marami pa pong iba, and hindi ko lang naipakita rito sa aking slides. Then we also have the IEC materials or posters coming from ENSO and ENSO for El Nino and ENSO for La Nina. Ayan. Okay, next please. Another IEC material, this one is on a portrait orientation coming from the flood warnings of PAGASA and heavy rainfall warning system of PAGASA. Next please. And then from PHIVOX naman po yung IEC materials for geological hazards. They have the ashfall preparedness, earthquake safety guide. Yan po. So in-enhance po natin yung mga layout, mga color schemes and things like that. But basically the information are almost the same pa rin. Yeah. And then we also have a learning management system as shown here in our screen. This is the welcome screen of the LMS that was developed through Canvas. Ayan. So ito po yung gagamitin ng ating mga participants for the asynchronous session, no, as a reviewer and to enhance their knowledge prior to their engagement sa synchronous session 2 weeks after. Ayan po. Next, please. So, meron tayong ginawang clustering and process ng ating workshop. So, the participants per region are divided into 10 groups for the breakout rooms. And each group will have about 40 to 50 participants. So, the participants will be grouped according to the hazards experienced in their locality. So, mas ginrupo po natin yung mga municipalities or cities, mga LGUs na halos pare-parehas yung kanilang mga hazards na na-experience. For example, sa mga coastal areas, so isang grupo po sila, and then yung sa mga mountainous regions kunwari, so another group for them and other groupings po. Topics for workshop include yung ating warning messages relevant to the clustered participants, like for example, yung kanilang origin, no? So nakagrupo po yung PDRIM-Os, city municipal LGUs, the first responders, LCEs, governors, and media. And then the completion, we have also designed the completion of the contingency planning forms, especially for our participants who are PDRIM-Os and the city municipal local government units and first responders. And for our participants coming from the media, we have developed an exercise for them, which is the development of news articles. Next, please. So ito po yung ating draft program naman for the synchronous 2-hour Maganda project. Orientation per region. No? Before they engage, they have some sort of an orientation, which is consist of the following. No? We have the live or recorded messages from the DOST and the DILG as the project proponents. We also have a video of about the Maganda project or the draft project AVP, and then followed by the orientation on how to use the learning management system, step-by-step process on how to use Canvas as our platform. And then the last part is capped up by a question and answer portion. Next, please. So ito po naman yung ating nilalaman ng ating asynchronous sessions. So we have an introduction and then modules 1, 2, 3, and 4. For the introduction, we have the Maganda project overview. We have the pre-test, we introduce ourselves, and the Maganda project briefer, Canvas how to use, and the Maganda portal. And then for the module 1, we have the MET warning messages, module 2 for the geological warning messages, module 3 for the tools and platforms used by both agencies. We have the website of DOST-PAGASA, GeoRisk, and other tools coming from PHIVOX and PAGASA. And last but not least, of course, is the impact-based forecasting, which is yung isa sa mga innovations na ginagawa natin para sa improved weather forecasting. Okay, so next, please. So for each session, it is consists of 6 components. Just for your appreciation, we have the let's engage, let's explain, let's analyze, let's do it, and let's evaluate. And then last, yung ating appendix. For the let's engage, we have the motivation and recall, yung kanilang background information, stock knowledge, kumbaga. And then let's explain, explanation of the hazards in the text and differences among others. Let's analyze, we have the warning messages and the alert systems. let's do it. Yung recommended actions and responses na made-develop natin, especially on our key local actors. And then let's evaluate. We have a short quiz for us to reinforce yung kanilang knowledge. Ayan. Tapos yung appendix po sa bandang huli. Next, please. Ayan. So this is the training plan or the schedule of the rollout of our Project Maganda among the participants. So we begin with the regional offices of the DOST, including the PAGASA Regional Services Divisions. And then we also have the regional offices of TVOX and the DILG local government resource centers. And then one OCD regional officer as a representative also in the first training session, which is targeted on July 7, 2022. This will serve as sort of a training of trainers para to prepare yung ating mga regional offices, particularly coming from DOST, PRSDs, PBOX, DILG, LGRRC, among others. Kasi sila po yung makakatulong natin para doon sa pagro-roll out ng ating training sessions sa different LGUs in their respective localities. Okay? And then to be followed by the media in Mindanao, no? We have 2 clusters for Mindanao media. The first cluster is composed of regions 13, 10, and 9. While the other one is media from BARM regions 13 and 12, which is targeted on July 7 and 8. In the afternoon po ang ating sessions for them. And then for regions 13 LGU, composed of the provincial and the city municipal participants from Caraga, they have the synchronous session on July 4 to 18. And in preparation for their synchronous session on July 20 to 21, 2022. And then to be followed by regions 12, 11, 10, 9, before the local chief executives of Mindanao and Visayas, which is on August 16 to 23, respectively. Ayan po. So next, please. Ayan. So for the regions 8, 7, 6, we have this schedule. And then followed by media sessions again, this time in the Visayas region, and composed of 2 clusters once again, to be done hopefully in September 9 and 16 respectively. And then to be followed by the LCEs of Luzon, and then going back to the local government units, the Region 5, 4B, 4A, and Region 3. Ayan po yung kanilang mga training sessions. So kung mapapansin po natin, minarapat po ng Maganda Management to roll out yung ating project. First in Mindanao, going up north. No? First in Mindanao, then followed by Visayas, and then Luzon. Considering po na yung ating mga weather systems on the last half of the year, hindi po gaanong naapektuhan ng mga weather systems yung Mindanao, no? Na mga beginning ng 3rd quarter. Kaya ganun po yung design. And then to be followed by Visayas and then Luzon. Hopefully, ay by this time of the year naman po, no? In the middle of the second half and then yung last quarter siguro ng taon natin, ay may spare naman ng Visayas tsaka Luzon dun sa mga major weather systems na will ensure yung kanilang attendance dito sa ating training sessions for Maghanda. Next, please. Ayan. So continuing, regions 2, 1, CAR, and then the media in Luzon, clumped into regions 5, 4A, 4B, and regions 1, 2, 3, and CAR. Ayan, so meron silang sessions, asynchronous and synchronous sessions. While for the NCR, LGU and media for the NCR, we have the following schedules. And last but not least, of course, is yung ating representation from the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. So this is in consideration dun sa recommendation ng LGU and the Local Government Academy na medyo ihuli ang schedule ng BIMM considering yung change of leadership din po dun sa kanilang office. Okay. And then as a capping or wrap up culminating activity ng ating Project Maganda, we'll be having governors and closing program face-to-face po sa November 16, hopefully. So ayan po. Next, please. So ito yung ating production team na punong abala sa paggawa ng ating mga videos, mga materials, and other references, especially coming from our resource speakers, no? So on our bottom left is yung ating mga resource speakers coming from PBOX, while for the rest, yung mga resource speakers naman natin sa PAGASA. Ayan po. So with that po, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Sir Dondi, our International Science Relation Officer 3, for the introduction of Project #Maganda. In a sense, partner, Ms. Viv, that this is a hardcore information drive campaign. And it seems that there must be a synergistic cooperation between the mainstream media and social media to give a fast and accurate information drive to help our partners and stakeholders get the best disaster preparedness techniques and precautions. And thank you very much, Sir Dondi, for that amazing rollout of your project. And to acknowledge the presence of our media friends and partners, let's have Ms. Viv Pagasa for that.
Yes. So before we proceed to the open forum, we would like to acknowledge our media friends who are joining us via Zoom. So we have our media partners from ABS-CBN, from Manila Bulletin, from Panahon TV, also Rappler, and also Radyo Aguila, Net 25. We also have Philippine Information Agency, NCR, and we can also see attendees from various agencies like PVOX, the PDRMO Quirino. We also have DOST, STII, and DILG OUSPS.
Okay, so and now we are ready to accommodate your questions. We are now opening the forum for your questions from our media partners. Thank you very much. Okay, if you have questions, clarifications, we have here Sir Dondi and Ma'am Shirley to receive your questions. Thank you very much.
We have a question from Panahon TV. So good morning. Will this be rolled out to students as well? I think Sir Dondi will be able to answer this.
Okay, thank you po sa katanungan. Actually, yung ating Project Maganda is initially designed to be rolled out dun sa ating mga local actors, no? Yung local government units and local information officers, including yung mga uniformed personnel and then the local media, no? Pero yung project will be rolled out until dun sa city or municipal level pa lang muna. And then sa mga schools, probably as a way forward, we can roll out the project sa mga susunod na panahon. Pero sa ngayon, yung ating maghanda training sessions ay until December 31 will just be dedicated dun sa ating mga nabanggit kanina. So possibly yung rollout natin sa mga students and teachers, tsaka yung sa mga schools, for example, and other interested parties ay sa mga susunod po sigurong panahon. Thank you.
Okay, we have also another question from Radyo Aguila. Ano po ang importance na gunitain ang mga okasyong nabanggit at significance nito? And then, kumusta naman po ang pag-laymanize ng mga terminologies upang lalo pang maunawaan ang advisory na inihahatid ng PAGASA? Thank you.
Okay, so marami pong salamat sa tanong. Siguro, I would like to invite yung ating mga key officials. Siguro po baka they can share better than me. Si Doc Vic po and Doc SP, Doc Nats. Thank you.
Doon po sa pag-limanize, yung sasagutin ko na lang yung pangalawang tanong, paano mag-limanize ng mga terminologies. Alam po natin, nakasama po natin taga-media na gagawa kung ano yung pinaka maganda para maintindihan po yung ating mga terminologies. Alam po natin na mayroon talagang terminologies na walang tawag dito, walang translation sa sarili natin. So siguro yung mga ganyang klaseng mga terminologies ay tawag nito, mananatiling ganun siguro. Kamukha nung sinasabi nga natin, bakit yung tsunami, hindi naman atin yan, natanggap naman natin yan. Pero yung storm surge siguro, mas maganda sigurong tanggapin na lang natin as storm surge dahil kung halimbawa iba-iba yung ating translation for different areas in the Philippines, baka magkakaiba yung meaning. Gaya na sinabi ko nga kanina, kasama natin ang taga-media para magbuo kung ano yung paano natin gawin yung ating information na ilalabas.
Thank you very much, Doc Malano, for that question, for that answer.
So doon sa unang tanong,
Ma'am,
magandang umaga po. Doon naman po sa unang tanong, ano yung kahalagahan itong ipinagdiriwang natin na Typhoon and Flood Awareness Week. Alam naman po natin na tayo ay mayroong 19 o 20 bagyo sa isang taon. At ngayong Hunyo, sa ngayon, isa pa lang yung na-experience natin, si Agaton. Baka po siguro kailangan nating gisingin ang ating mga kababayan kasi baka sabihin nila, Hunyo na, wala pang bagyo. Baka makalimutan na naman nila kung ano yung ini-expect natin. Marami pa rin tayong mararanasan ng mga bagyo. Kaya dapat lagi tayong maghanda. So, ang kahalagahan nito, awareness po. Kaya nga po, Typhoon and Flood Awareness Week. Simula ngayon, kailangan ay maalala natin kung ano ba yung mga impormasyon na binibigay ng PAGASA, yung mga warning system natin, yung mga early warning system natin, kailangan po natin maalala kung ano yung mga ibig sabihin nito. Dahil kailangan mag-prepare po tayo dahil meron po bagyo na darating within the year. And baka pag nandyan na yung bagyo, saka pa natin maiisip kung ano ba dapat talaga yung ating paghahandaan. And sa ngayon, thunderstorms pa lang yung nararanasan natin halos araw-araw. So, alam naman po natin na yung memory ng ating mga kababayan o tayo mismo, kung hanggang hindi pa natin nararanasan muli yung malalakas na bagyo, medyo mahirapan tayo mag-adjust pag nandyan na. So, kailangan po natin laging isa-isip na mayroon tayong dapat paghandaan at alam natin ang gagawin natin kapag nandito na yung typhoon season. And this June, July, August is the peak ng ating mga bagyo. Kaya mahalaga po na kailangan prepared tayo and alam natin kung ano yung magiging action natin pag ipinalabas na ng PAGASA yung mga warnings, early warnings na binibigay po natin. So, siguro din po, ito rin ay panahon para yung ating mga kapaligiran, lalo na yung ating mga sewage system, yung mga kanal natin, ay nililinis na natin para kung meron mang mga malakas na pag-ulan dahil sa ating habagat na darating ay mas mabilis na yung pag-agos ng tubig, hindi na yung magbabara at biglang pagbaha. So ito po siguro kailangan nating maintindihan at maisaisip na merong posibleng mga sakuna na maaaring mangyari dala ng bagyo at ng malalakas na pag-ulan at mga nagdudulot ng pagbaha and landslides.
Dagdagan ko pala yung tanong ay sagot ng tanong na yun. Gaya ng sinabi ni Yusek Kinsay kanina, ang pinaka-importante siguro sa ngayon ay dahil magpapalit nga ng gobyerno, magpapalit ng leaders, lalong-lalo na yung mga LGUs kasi kailan lang i-install itong mga bagong leaders ng mga LGUs itong June 30. So ito yung kahalagahan siguro nitong ating ginagawa patungkol dito sa ating project, maghanda na project.
Thank you very much, Drs. Kayanan and Dr. Malano. A little while ago, Ms. Jasmine Romero from ABS-CBN was raising her hand. Ms. Jasmine, you may unmute yourself so that you can ask the question. Thank you.
Po. Simple lang naman po ang tanong ko, no? So, gaano po kalaki yung improvement na inyo pong naaasahan o nakikita sa project po na ito if you compare it to the status quo? Meron po ba, parang, ang example lang po parang, are you seeing a certain percentage of improvement? Tapos the possible, yung number of lives that can be saved through this project? Maraming pong salamat.
May kahirapan yung tanong no? Gaano ano yung expected nating improvement? Siguro masabi ko lang dahil buong Pilipinas yung gagawin natin. Marami sigurong hindi pa naaabot natin, lalong-lalo na yung Bangsa BARM, Bangsamoro Autonomous Region for Muslim Mindanao, na meron kasi silang sariling set up ng gobyerno. Pero dito naman ay wala naman tayong boundary. Wala silang sariling pag-asa, wala silang sariling PBOX. So aabutin po natin sila sa ating project maghanda. So isa ito siguro na sa ngayon kasi ay kung paano natin sila maaabot at paano ma-improve yung kanilang capability in terms of responding sa ating mga information.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, Doc Malano, for that answer. And we also have question from Philippine Information Agency, NCR, from Mr. Jerome. Will Project Maganda also capacitate LGUs to be disability inclusive? Kasi po, past experience reveals that persons with disabilities are more likely to be left behind or abandoned during evacuation in disaster and conflicts due to lack of preparation and planning, perhaps, or lack of PWD-sensitive early warning system, as well as inaccessible facilities and services and transportation systems.
Sir Don.
Siguro masagot ko na rin yung sa part of pag-asa, lahat po ng ating and other agency siguro ng DOST. Lahat ng ating mga tawag nito facilities ay mayroong access for PWDs. Ibig sabihin yung 'di ba yung rampa kamukha ng mga building natin ay mayroon na mga naka-install na mga rampa para din sa ating mga PWDs. siguro dahil dito rin sa project na to, magagawa din siguro ng mga LGUs kung anong gagawin nila patungkol dun sa mga may mga kapansanan. Gaya nga yung sinabi ko, yung pag-asa, lalong-lalo yung mga malalaki namin building, yung aming PRSD buildings or pag-asa Regional Services Divisions buildings, ay mayroon ng provision ng rampa para doon makadaan yung ating mga PWDs. Mga radar stations po natin ay mayroon na.
Thank you very much, Doc Malano, for that answer. So we have a question from Miss Bel Sorara of Radio Agula Net 25. Any update po on the equipments? So this is related to engineering services used by Pag-asa. Example, the radar Doppler. Thank you po.
Yung programa po natin sa yung high frequency radars, unahin ko na lang yun, hindi lang yung kasi specific sa radar ito, Doppler radar din kasi yun yung para doon sa observation ng status ng ating waves ay meron tayong 36 na na-install for the whole Philippines in different areas sa different coastal areas from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Yung ating tinatawag na yung long range type of radar, yung C-band tsaka S-band radars, mayroon po tayong 17 sa ngayon at may dalawa po tayong tapos na rin na may install yung equipment. Ito yung kasi ang sana ang tinatarget natin noon pa ito 2020 sana. Pero naapektuhan nga kasi ito ng pandemic. So na-delay yung pagka-install yung lalo na itong tatlo na natira. Ito yung nasa Lauang, Samar, sa Masbate at saka sa Agno. Ito yung natitirang tatlo na para mabuo yung 20 na sinasabi natin. Itong long range type of Doppler radars. Yung dalawang sinasabi ko na doon sa Masbate at saka sa Lauang ay na-install na yung equipment. Under testing ito ngayon at hinihintay na rin po natin yung commercial power supply na maidugtong or makabit. At yun din po yung kinakailangan nating communication link ay dapat makabit na rin doon sa dalawang radar stations na yon sa Masbate at sa Lauang. At ang susunod nito ay yung sa Agno naman dito sa may Pangasinan. Ito yung last sa 20 nating programa na matatapos. Hopefully within the year matatapos na rin yung Agno. At doon po sa mga radar bases natin ay mayroon tayong tinatarget na at least dalawang X-band radars naman. Yung X-band radars, ito yung radar na ang range niya is nasa not more than 80 kilometers. Mayroon ng 4 na natapos doon sa ilan ba? 7 plus 2. Doon sa Siam na ating pinuprograma. Na-delay din ito dahil po sa COVID at saka yung pag-secure natin ng mga mag-host nung lugar dahil alam po nyo na tayo po ay parang mendicant po tayo in terms of paghingi ng lote. So hindi po natin naisama yung program para makuha natin na bibilhin ng gobyerno yung ating pagtatayuan ng radar dahil mahirap din po dahil kung minsan gusto natin bilhin hindi pa naman pala pwede dahil obstructed. So yun yung dahilan kung bakit na-delay COVID tsaka pag-secure ng ating mga location pagtatayuan ng radar. Mayroon tayong 4 na natapos na. Ito yung nasa Cabacan and Cotabato, Panabo, Davao. Davao City is mukhang matatapos na rin. Yung Isabela, yung sa Itiague, yun yung tapos na. Mayroon pa tayong tatapusin doon sa Kabangkalan in Negros. Mayroon tayo sa Capiz. Sa yung dalawa pa na from mobile radar, ito yung gagawin natin, ipipix na natin. Ito yung sa Kuyapo, Isiha ba yung Kuyapo? At saka dito sa for Metro Manila. So, yun po yung ating status ng ating mga radar program.
Thank you very much, sir, Dr. Malano, for that answer. I hope that is clear. Okay, so there is a direct question here addressed to. Okay, so all right, so there is a question. So the training needs assessment, nagsama kami ng Washington group of questions, Fatima Don. Nako-cover yung participants ng persons with disability, yung concerns, no? Supposed to be meron ding ESL interpreter ng videos. So this is a question directed to Sir Dondi. So I'll just copy-paste the question kasi this is directed to us para mabasa ni Sir Dondi. Machi. Okay. Sir, the question is already posted. So sa training needs assessment, nagsama kami ng Washington group of questions. Doon nako-cover yung participants ng person with disability. Yung concern supposed to be meron ding ESL interpreter ng videos. Who gives?
Sige po.
Okay. PWD related concern elaboration po.
Yes.
Okay. So this is an elaboration, miss.
Opo.
So it's not a question.
Bali, tugon po siya dun sa kaninang question regarding do sa PWDs. By the way, yung pong ating training sessions, part po ng ating project deliverables, yung policy recommendations for the DILG and the local government units. So part na rin ng deliverables siguro natin later on, yung pag-recommend sa mga LGUs on how to enhance yung need para dun sa ating mga persons with disabilities each time na may mga disasters po. No? And then of course yung ating contingency planning, no? So part po siguro ng improvements later on as we roll out yung project, kung ano yung mai-recommend natin to enhance yung kanilang mga contingency plans na naka-align na po doon sa ating persons with disabilities tsaka yung mga iba pang mga sectors, mga sector-specific needs po. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Bernard, for that clarification. Okay, so we still have enough time for your questions. So if you still have questions or clarifications from our key personnel, you may still ask those questions for. Thank you very much.
So I think wala na po. So
Okay, so there's a comment here from Philippine Information Agency NCR from Mr. Jerome. Maraming salamat po, Sir Bernard. Napakaganda po na may policy recommendation kayo sa DILG, sir.
Tama ba yun? Tama ba yung pagkakakuha? O yung DILG yung... Tama ba yun, Nerd? Policy recommendation?
Opo. Bali po, Doc Vic, yung ating policy recommendation kung sakasakali. Kagawa po tayo within the project. Parang as we roll out yung project, may mga gagawin po tayo ng policy recommendation sa DILG. Depende po dun sa discussions natin with LGU as they attend po yung training.
Okay.
So we have another question from Ms. Ana Corina Arceo from Rappler. Good morning. Ano po yung nakikita nating factors kung bakit meron pong information gaps when it comes to disaster risk reduction?
Si Doc Vic po siguro baka mas okay pong kasi
Ano ba yung mga gaps natin? Kung titingnan po natin, historically, parang sabi nga ni Dr. Kayanan kanina, yung ating span of memory, maigsi. Parang nakakalimutan natin kung ano yung nangyayari. Kung pumunta ka sa ibang bansa, nakalagay na sa kanila kung ano yung nangyayari dito sa lugar na to, ano yung mga nakalagay doon sa lugar na yan na itong lugar na to ay nagkaroon ng halimbawang malakihang storm surge. Kahit na isang taon lang yung nakaraan, nakakalimutan na natin kung anong nangyari last year. Yun isa sa mga gaps yun . At yung laging nakikita natin yung pagkakaintindi mismo kung ano yung terminology na ginagamit. At kung halimbawa nga hindi naintindihan nung tumanggap ng ating information kung ano yung ibig sabihin nung terminology na yon, hindi na rin nagtatanong. Dapat siguro ugaliin natin kung ano yung hindi naintindihan ay dapat tumawag siguro sa kinauukulan kung pag-asa man o PBOX yung concern. Doon tumawag siguro. Ano ba ibig sabihin? Halimbawa, yung 25 millimeters of rainfall, ano bang ibig sabihin yan? Depende yan sa kung ano yung lugar mo . Kahit na 25 millimeters of rainfall lang, ay maganda naman yung drainage system mo, ay walang gaanong epekto doon sa lugar mo. Kumuha ng halimbawa 25 millimeters of rainfall in 1 hour dito sa atin, baka marami ng lugar dito sa atin na hindi na madadaanan. Kung lalong-lalo na yung mga sa ngayon, mga hindi maganda yung drainage system.
Okay, thank you very much, Doc Vic Malano, for that answer. Yeah, we still have time for more questions. Okay, so if you have questions, kindly raise your hand, unmute yourself, or type in your questions in the chat box. Okay, Sir Ariel Rojas from ABS-CBN raised his hand. Kindly unmute yourself, sir.
Hello po, good morning. Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. Ang question ko lang po is tungkol sa impact-based forecasting. So since may project yung HT merge ng impact-based forecasting na nabanggit kanina ni Don D sa presentation niya, yung IBF, I just would like to ask kung ano na po yung update sa progression ng IBF. And since ipipresent nyo sa mga LGUs, kung i-implement na rin po ba siya ng weather division sa kanilang forecast issuances. Thank you.
Maraming salamat, Ariel, sa iyong katanungan. So, actually, yung impact-based forecasting nga, yung ating dinidevelop ngayon, yung impact-based forecasting and warning system. Meron tayong isang malaking project na funded by the Global Climate Fund or GCF. This is a 5-year project na nag-start nitong April. And meron na tayong, nag-start na tayo ngayon with that. Ito ay mayroong mga pilot areas na nag-involve ng iba't ibang hazards sa extreme winds, floods, storm surge, and landslides. And actually, meron tayo ding isang smaller project na Metro Manila and Metro Cebu yung target areas at ito ay inuumpisahan na ngayon. But this is experimentally pa lang yung ginagamit nating operations dito. Hindi pa ito ini-implement ng Weather Division. Nasa research mode pa lang ito. Kaya tuwing mayroong extreme event na papasok sa Pilipinas, particularly yung Cebu and Metro Manila, ang ginagawa natin dito, yung ating classic na warnings na nagbibigay tayo ng technical information, ito na-translate na natin ito sa impacts at gumagamit na tayo ng impact tables. Dinidetermine natin yung likelihood ng occurrence nito at yung kung gaano ang intensity nito o yung kung gaano kalaki yung impact na ibibigay nito. And we are communicating with the DRRM officers ng concerned na area sa Metro Manila, yung mga DRRM officers ng iba't ibang cities and municipalities. Dinidiscuss namin yung pag may ganitong bagyo, kagaya ng, and then sa Cebu pala, ay ginamit natin ito nung time ni Odette. We are providing them with information and then dinidiscuss namin itong ganitong kalakas na hangin, ano yung magiging impact nito sa area. And identified natin kung alin yung tatamaan, ano yung magiging epekto nito sa different sectors. So, yung implementation nito ay kunyari may ganitong kalaking ulan na ine-expect, aling areas more or less yung babahain. Kausap na namin ngayon yung DRRM officers ng certain areas. At sa Cebu ay ginawa natin ito at na-identify na kung alin talaga yung maapektuhan. Yung mga effect nito sa transportation, effect nito sa education, sa tourism, sa lahat-lahat ng areas ay ina-identify natin. Meron na tayong na-develop na impact tables at ito ay bine-verify naman after nung event. So, itutuloy natin ito tuwing meron tayong extreme event na darating, but this is just within the DRRM officers muna ng certain areas. Dun sa malaking project ng GCF, ito ay ipapagpatuloy natin at nakikita natin na talagang ito na yung dapat natin gawin. Hindi na magkakaroon ng gaps doon sa communication kasi hindi na iisipin ng mga tao kung gaano, ano yung ilang millimeters ba yung ulan, gaano ba kalakas yung hangin, kung hindi, ano na yung magiging epekto nito sa area nila, ma-identify na how many population na magiging affected, at yung iba't ibang sector ay identified na yung impacts. So, hopefully, kahit hindi pa tapos yung project, ay i-implement natin ito, lalo na for Metro Manila and Cebu kasi yun yung initial na targets, and yung iba't ibang areas ay susunod na. So we have already conducted meetings with our partners sa DILG and NAMRIA, MGB. So siguro looking forward tayo dito bago matapos yung 5-year project, this will be implemented.
Maraming salamat po, Ma'am SP.
Thank you very much, Ma'am SP, for the update on impact-based forecasting. Here we have a clarification. A further explanation from Ms. Fatima of DOST-PAGASA. She said, if I may read, project #Maganda will identify gender-sensitive policy. This is related to gender-related or PWD-related question a little while ago from a media friend. So project #Maganda will identify gender-sensitive policy recommendations for the ILG and LGUs for the dating of the DRR plan, for the utilization of DOST-PAGASA, DOST PBOK's information products, tools, and services, for the development of guidelines on the utilization of the DRRM CCA-related research and innovation for early warning, and for the SOPs and guidelines for multi-hazard early warning systems that are inclusive of the needs of persons with disability. Thank you very much, Ms. Fatima, for that further clarification. And then we have a question from Ms. Bel
From
Sorara.
Bel Sorara of Radyo Agila Net 25. Ilang bagyo po ang aasahan matapos ang agaton? Thank you po. I think Sir Jun Galang can answer this. The officer in charge of the Weather Division.
Hello, good morning. Actually, meron na tayong basyang pagkatapos ng agaton. Nakaroon na tayo ng basyang. Then possible at the end of this month, may pumasok na isa. And then from hanggang sa matapos ang taon, possible minimum of 12 and then maximum of 17 tropical cyclone. Salamat po.
Thank you very much, Sir Galang. So we have further elaboration from DOST-PAGASA that is available for everyone to read. So kindly read po the explanation of Ms. Fatima Gaye. Right. Okay, so without Ms. Vivian, I think we are ready to end this open forum. So Ms. Vivian, what moving on?
Okay, so we are about to end this activity, but before we end, we would like to thank Ms. Dr. Maria Maylin M. Villegas and Dr. Deputy Director Teresita C. Bacolpol for coming us today. Thank you very much. They are from PBOX.
Baka pwede nating mayroon silang sasabihin din, no?
Yes.
Kasi parang monopolize ba yung pag-asa yung tanong. Baka sila Toto at saka si Dr. Maylin ay mayroon silang madagdag doon sa ating mga katanungan.
Our allies from PBOX, I think, will give us some message.
Okay, good morning, and thank you for inviting us. This is a good project, and I hope the deliverables will be, will be followed by your recommendations to the LGUs will be followed by, especially the question about the PWDs. I think they should also be considered by the LGUs. Take into account yung conditions nila, and kasi when we offer suggestions, we always have to include yung marginalized sectors and PWDs, children, women, and yung mga members of the indigenous communities. We also have to take into consideration kasi sila yung vulnerable when it comes to disasters.
Thank you very much, Deputy Director Teresita C. Bacolpol, for that clarification. Dr. Villegas, do you have any message also? Thank you very much.
Good morning. We just would like to thank PAGASA for leading the Maganda project, and then looking forward to again working with DILG for the rollout, which will start very, very soon. So, yun lang po. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Villegas, for that succinct answer and message, rather. Okay, so we're almost done.
Okay, so to formally close today's activity, may we hear a closing message from Dr. Esperanza O. Kayanan, PAGASA Deputy Administrator for Research and Development. Ma'am?
Thank you. Muli, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. So we are now to end our press conference on Typhoon and Flood Awareness Week and the press launch on Project Maganda training session rollout. So on behalf po of the DOST-PAGASA, Please allow me to express our sincere gratitude and appreciation to all those who are present here. And of course, I would like also to thank our key officials from the OST, our beloved Secretary, Professor Fortunato T. de la Peña, our Undersecretary for SNT Services, Yusek Renato Sidudum Jr., our partner from the DILG, Yusek Nestor F. Kinsay Jr., Undersecretary for Public Safety, Director Alan Tebel of Codex, DILG Codex, our partners from FIBOX, Dr. Teresito Toto Baculcol and Dr. Mylene Villegas, our other partners from who are here online. Maraming salamat po sa inyo, and most especially to our ever supportive, cooperative partners, our media friends. Maraming salamat po sa inyo. Lagi po namin kayong kaagapay sa lahat po ng serbisyo ng PAGASA. Kami po ay malugod na nagpapasalamat sa inyo. Without your support, without your help, baliwala po yung serbisyo at itong impormasyon, mga warning messages natin na ipinapadala natin sa publiko ay hindi po makakarating na at hindi nila maintindihan. Yung Project Maganda po, ito po ay napakahalaga dahil lagi po pag may bagyo, nagkakaroon po tayo ng concerns pagkatapos na ay hindi namin naunawaan, kaya may mga sakuna na nangyari, hindi namin naiintindihan, hindi nakakarating sa amin yung tamang informasyon. So with this project, ito po ay ating may improve pa yung ating warning services, yung ating communication. Kaya kailangan po ng PAGASA, ng DOST, ng FIBOX. Ang ganda din po pala, I would like to mention STII, si Director Richard Burgos. Kailangan po namin ng cooperation ng bawat isa, hindi lang po media, hindi lang po DILG at iba't iba pang ahensya, kung hindi ang kooperasyon po ng bawat isa para mas meron po tayong time to educate ourselves, our friends, at lahat po ay sana ay makakaunawa ng ating mensahe. So with this morning, sana po may natutunan tayo at sana po pag may darating na extreme event, alam po natin ang gagawin natin at makikinig tayo sa tamang impormasyon na ipaparating ng mga warning agencies. Muli po, maraming salamat at sana po mag-participate po kayo sa iba't iba pang programa na nakalinya ngayong week na ito dahil sa ating isineselebrate or sa Typhoon and Flood Awareness Week. Magandang umaga po at maraming salamat.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kayanan, for that encouraging call to action. And that means TFAW 2022 is really rolling out. Okay, so indeed, we learned from Dr. Fortunato de la Peña that we learned from him the historical, legal basis, and the rationale for why we have TFAW, or Typhoon and Flood Awareness Week, under Presidential Proclamation 1535 from GMA, from President GMA. Then we learned from Dr. Renato Solidum that knowledge is power when it comes to disaster preparedness and prevention. We also learned from Dr. Malano that there are silver linings from every storm in tectonic incidents. And we have learned from our Undersecretary Nestor F. Kinsay that why DILG and DOST need to cooperate, for these activities and to help our countrymen prevent and avoid disasters. And we also learned from Sir Dondi the need for there is actually an implication for synergistic cooperation between mainstream media and social media information drive, and we learned from, and Miss Shirley David gave us the different activities for this week for TFAW. Indeed, we thank you everyone for joining us, for participating with us. We thank our media partners, and of course our key officials from DOST-PAGASA, PBOX, and from Dr. Renato Sulidung, and from our secretary, Professor Fortunato T. De La Peña. Thank you very much for coming over, and indeed we are now rolling out this this Typhoon and Flood Awareness Week. Thank you very much, and mabuhay po.
Recording stopped.